Shalom. Welcome everybody to sorry didn't meet last week because it was my birthday, and this week ironically is the Parshat Shavua for my birthday. So the Gregorian calendar and the Hebrew calendar is off a little bit, but this is my reading. Cool. Parashat Mishpatim, Exodus 21 to 24. And Mishpatim comes from the root shafat, to make a judicial judgment. So Mishpatim are right rulings of God. In case anyone doesn't remember, you can raise your hand by clicking on the reactions and raise hand, and you can also annotate on the screen by clicking on the view options, annotate, and you can draw on the screen. All right, fantastic. Who wants to get started? Who wants to do some reading?
Well, if none of the others want to, I guess I'll give it a shot, Jared.
Go right ahead.
Um, Yal, Yal, Yale,
Ve ele. So there's your
Le,
lamed.
Le,
Very good. Ve ele. This right here tells you that the stress is on the penultimate. Ve ele.
and Hame, Sa, Saf, Safet, Safet, him,
Yeah, I would divide the syllables like this. Hamish patim. Hamishpatim.
Hamish, Patim,
Exactly. And that's the name of this parasha. This is the first most significant word. Um, So that's the name of the parasha. This is the right rulings, the judgments.
and then it's Ashur,
Asher.
Asher, and Asher is that.
Asher means, yeah, Asher is a relative particle that gives us more information about what we just read. So something more about the judgments. This tells us more about those judgments. Asher.
Asher, Ta, She, Shaim,
Tasim.
Shaim,
Tasim.
Ta, Ta, Shaim,
Too much, too much. We've got ta and then sim. Ta sim.
Ta, Sing.
Mm-hmm. There's your
Because Sim
ta,
is not
and
right.
there's your sim.
And then La, La Fe,
Wait, what vowel is this one? Sorry, this one right here. It's going to be an E sounding vowel.
E,
Leaf.
Leaf, Na, Ne,
Mm-hmm. Leaf nay.
Neef, Ne, Him, Ham,
Hem. It's an E
Him.
vowel. Leaf nay hem. Leaf nay hem. All right. So,
Sorry, I'm looking at my phone and not my computer this time, so everything's smaller.
oh, okay. All right. So the asher tasim lifnei him, all of this is a relative clause that acts like an adjective describing something about hamishpatim, the judgments. All right. The first two words are already a sentence. This right here, the ele is what's called a near demonstrative. These things that are close to me. These things are, the verb is implied, the judgments. These are the judgments. What about them? This says that tasim, you shall set lifnehem, before them. All right. So it's pretty short first verse. Any comments or questions on this before we move on to the next one? And Jesse, I see you've got your hand up. I think you want to read.
Right.
All right, go right ahead.
Ki tikne eved ivri shesh shanim avod uvash viit yetze lachafshi hinam.
All right, so that and that. In this word, there's a strong negation shin. So instead of uvash, it should be uvashvi eat. Uvashvi eat. And then this pesky thing right here is in a closed unstressed syllable. How do you suppose that should be read?
Lachofshi.
Good. La chofshi from the root chofesh.
Hofshi.
Right. Chofesh is the noun which the adjective chofshi comes from. But the point I'm trying to make is because there's an O in it, that's why we should expect an O vowel, just like kodesh versus kodshi. That O vowel is going to be preserved in that form right there as a kamatz katan, kodshi. Chofesh chofshi, kodesh kodshi, same pattern. All right. Do you recognize all the words in this verse? Anything here you don't recognize? You can see from the translation, uvashvi eat. What's the root?
Shava.
Shva.
Exactly. The root, the number 7 is sheva. So here we've got the root right there. And this makes it ordinal. The 7th, uva shvi'it. All right. So ki has about 3 different definitions. What are those 3 different definitions? Ki could be just because. Sometimes people will translate it as for, but it's not giving it for somebody, but rather it's a conjunction. I'm doing this for I want to, or I'm doing it for, it's a conjunction. So because or for is option 1. What are the other 2 options? It could present it could, yes, exactly. Here it's being translated as if, but if and when go together. So in a certain case, the fancy word for this is casuistic, but we'll just say if or when. Should these certain criteria be met, blah, 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 blah. If or when. And then the last one, ki can also present the content. Yeah, that. It can present the content of something. I know that the sky is blue. What do I know? Sky is blue is the content of what I know. So ki is going to come before it and say, here it is. Here's the content. So which one are we going to choose here? If we didn't see the word if, we'd have to use the context to figure it out. Tikne is a verb. By having the verb after the word ki, it pretty much rules out this one. And if we don't have any real content before it, that pretty much rules out this one, right? It can't be a conjunction unless you have something before and something after. So it leaves us with this one here. So the context leads us to believe if or when these certain criteria are met, ki tikne, what's the root of tikne?
Kona.
Kana, kuf nun yod. We don't get to see a yod here. All we have is a vowel hey at the end. Tikne with a tav at the front that says you. If, when you buy, possess, own, eved, a servant, Ivri, a Hebrew servant. Shesh shanim ya'avod. 6. What's the absolute form, singular absolute form of shanim?
Shnei.
Shana.
Shana.
Shana, right?
All right.
Shana is the word for a year, and its plural form is irregular. By the way, if you wanted to say the years of David, how would you say that?
Shanei David.
Hashanayim David. No,
We have
David.
we have a couple of options. We could either say Shnei David. We get to see this, I believe, in Chaye Sarah, where we get to hear the years of Sarah, where it uses Shnei, but we can also see the word Shnot, ironically. The years of Shnot David. So all I mean to say is that even for irregular nouns like Shana and Shanim, it's possible that the construct form could have an ot on it. You get to see this also with the word Yameh and Yamot. So Yameh would be the days of something, but you could also have Yamot, the days of something. Now, it goes two different ways. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. So there really is no consistency in the Bible, and that's frustrating, but that phenomenon does exist. Shesh shanim, 6 years. Ya'avod. There's our yiktol yod. He shall avad. Same root as eved. He shall serve. He shall work. Uvashvi'it. And in the 7th. 7th what? It's implied. Years. There's been 6 years. This is the 7th one. In the 7th year, Yetze. What is this yod here?
Imperfect, but it has the binyan has a different name.
This is our yiktol yod. This is our imperfect yod. He will or he shall. Well, then where's the root? We only get 2 root letters. Well, the first root letter caused a vowel change right here. The root is yatsa, but this yod here is yiktol, imperfect yod, not the root yod. The root yod just caused a vowel change. Yetze, he shall go out. La chofshi. Again, this is an adjective from chofesh, freedom, to be free, or something like that. And then chinam, what's the root of the word chinam?
Chana. With he.
Chen. Grace, favor.
Okay.
And then the at the end is essentially a sufformative that turns it into an adverb. How shall he go out? For free, no cost, by grace. No money needs to be paid. In modern Hebrew, chinam means the same thing. You want to give somebody something for free, you give it to them chinam. Zebechinam. But yeah, chen, grace, is the root of it.
Okay.
Good. Any comments or questions on this before we move on to the next verse?
Chinam is adverb.
This is an adverb. It tells us
how,
adverb, when,
Thank
or
you.
where, or why something is done. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Thomas, do you want to read?
Yeah. Im begafo, yabo, begafo, yetze im baal, isha hu, veyatza, ishto imo.
Good. There's a dagesh in the pay, so it's not an F sound, but a pay sound. Begapo.
Okay, yes. Begafo. Doubling, yes?
It sounds like you're still making an F sound, are you?
Okay, yeah.
Begapo. And
Begafo.
yes,
P.
it is.
Begapo.
Very good. It is a doubling dagesh. We know it's a doubling dagesh because there's a vowel before it. It's because the root, I guess it's because the root is gimel pei pei. All I think of is like the word goof. Oh man, I might have to look that one up. Usually goof in modern Hebrew, goof means your body. So here it's giving a stipulation. Im, if, begapo, they're translating it as by himself, but I think of it literally as with his body, like with his own self. Yavo, so if he comes by himself, and there's our yiktol yod from the root bo, bet vav aleph to come, begapo yetze. If he comes begapo, then begapo he will go out, meaning when he comes versus 6 years later when he leaves, he came by himself, he'll leave by himself. What does that mean? Well, it means that if he's single, because here we get the alternative. I would even put like however, but it's implied. Im ba'al ishahu. Baal, we think of like Baal and Baal worship, and that's terrible and awful. It's the name of a false god. I get that, but the root Baal literally means master, owner, lord, something like that. So if he is the husband, it translates it here, of a wife. So husband of a wife is he. Here we have to imply the is. Then it's implied, even though there's only a ve, then yatza'ah. This is going to be audible shva because we have a kamatz before it. V'yatza'ah, and she, wait, she went or she will go? This vav is a reversing, conversive vav. Yatza'ah by itself means she went. She went out. By putting a reversing or conversive vav in the front, it turns it into future. Then she shall go out. That is ishto, his eshet or isha, his wife, imo. So here we get the word im with a pronominal suffix on the end, him. She shall go out with him. Okay, so we basically get if he's single when he comes, then he's single when he leaves. If he's married when he comes, then he's married when he leaves, and his wife goes with him. All right, any comments or questions on this verse before we go on to the next one?
Does it address if he's single when he comes, but he gets a wife while he's there?
Nope, the next verse does. All right, so here's the next verse. Let's see who has his hand up right now. It says stream taxes.
Yeah, that's me. I'm Brandon.
All right, would you like to read? As you said,
Sure.
Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon. I'm the
All
one
right.
asking all the questions on the chat.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Go right ahead.
All right. Im Adonav Yitain Lo Isha Vayalda Lo Banim O Banot Haisha Biladeha. Or is that Bila?
You said it right.
Biladeha
La deha.
Tiye Ladoneha Vehu Yetse Vagapo.
Okay, so this answers the question, what if he comes by himself, but his master gives him a wife and then she bears him children? Well, unfortunately, the wife and children stay with the master. It's a hard pill to swallow. Okay, im, if, adonav, From this is the same root as Adonai, and it's technically supposed to be plural. If his masters, I mean, grammatically it's plural, but we get to see even in modern Hebrew, like if you say, who's the owner of this dog? You would ask who the Baalim are. You say, who are the masters? Okay, so it's just a convention. Yiten, if his master will give him, we don't get to see the noon right here, but this is from Natan with a Yiktol Yod. If he will give, the noon assimilated into the Tav, Natan, to give. If he will give to him, Isha, a woman, a wife, V'yaldah. Is this a conversive reversing vav here?
Yes, I think so.
Doesn't make sense.
Mm-mm.
Well, actually, you know what? It does kind of make sense. Because we're talking about the hypothetical realm. Has she borne him any children yet? Well, we're in the hypothetical realm. She hasn't done anything yet. I mean, if she were to do it, then fine, but she hasn't done it yet because she's just a hypothetical thought at this point. So I would actually argue that this should be translated as a hypothetical. If his master gives him a wife, and if she should bear to him banim, so in that case, I would still say, yeah, this is a vekatal. It is changing the case from past tense, she bore, to something that is incompleted. Whether it's future, whether it's ongoing action, whether it's hypothetical, whether it's an iterative habitual action, all of those are possibilities. You just have to check the context to see which one makes the most sense. And here, hypothetical fits the bill because of the word im. And if she should bear to him, vanim o vanot, sons or daughters, both from the same root, ben. All right. You can see there's a space right here, a gap. Why is there a space, a gap right here? Why did I put that there? Well, it's because there's some kind of a pause.
That
Why is
little
there a pause?
Wishbone thing right there. I can't remember what it's called.
Wishbone. Exactly. So the wishbone thing is called etnach or etnachta, and it marks the logical halfway point of the verse. So we want to make sure to pause right here or possibly put a comma in our translation. If all of this, then Ha'isha viladeha, the woman and her, you see the root is child, but there's a yod which makes it plural, and her children, tihye, wait a second. Who's the built-in subject of tihye? There's a tav there. You only have two options. With a tav, it's either you or she. 2ms you, a masculine singular, you, or third person her, she, feminine singular. So what's happening here is that the verb is matching up with ha'isha, and then viladeha are kind of thrown into the bunch, thrown into the mix. But in English, if we were to say this, we would have to have a plural verb. We have a woman and her children. That's more than one, so we're going to have to make it plural. We wouldn't say the woman and her child is. We'd have to say the woman and her child are. Well, Hebrew doesn't care about that as much. They're just making it equal, matching the person gender number of Haisha. Tihye, she shall be, ladoneha, to her master or to her masters. Vehu, the guy who came and left, yetse vagapo, will go with his own body by himself. All right. Who's up next to read? If nobody wants to, then we'll have some repeats. Neshama, go ahead. Turn your mic on.
Ve'im amor, Yomar, ha-eved, ahavti, ahavti, ahavti.
Ahavti. Yeah, this one always shows up at the end of the word, so ignore it. This one's your marker.
Okay. Ahavti et Adoni, et ishti, ve'et banai.
Very good. Banai.
Banai. Lo etze hafshi.
What's that?
Chofshi.
Chofshi. Chofshi. Good. So here we can see the logical halfway point is only 3 words from the end of the verse. That's okay. All right. Ve'im, and if, amor yomar ha'eved. What is this? It does not mean plainly. Let's start with an easier one. What is
Emphasis.
this? Exactly. It's for emphasis. What is this one over here?
He
Well-
will say.
We'll say,
It's a
yeah.
Will say.
Yiktol imperfect yod. He will say, which they call declare. Fine, that's cool. And then amor is for emphasis. All right. What's the name of this form? This is a Yiktol. We get that much. What's that one? We've translated it as emphasis. He shall surely, or he shall plainly declare. Fine. But we can see the root is amar. So why don't we translate this as saying? What form is this? The AO form, we'll call it the katol, is your infinitive absolute. It is usually used for emphasis. What's called the what do they call it? The tautological use of the absolute infinitive. Yeah, emphasizes. Now, sometimes the infinitive absolute can be used in place of finite verbs, conjugated verbs. Like sometimes you'll see this be an imperative.
So should it have been saying he shall say?
See, that's how a literal translation would render it, but that doesn't make sense in English. So a good translation that wants to sound good will add some sort of emphasizing word, like he shall surely declare, or he shall plainly declare, or something like that. But literally saying he shall say, yeah, absolutely. That's what's happening in the Hebrew.
That actually makes more sense to me than trying to do it the other way.
Good, then leave it. And if saying he shall say, who? Ha'eved, the servant. Okay, now this is what he's saying. We're starting a quote. What you'll notice right here is a zakef katon. This is going to be like a level 2 or level 3. Well, let's just call it level 2 cantillation mark, a disjuncting cantillation mark. So there is a comma here, just not quite as strong of a comma as this one down here at the logical halfway point. This would be like your quarter mark, if you will. Anyway, the point is there's a pause, and the reason there's a pause is because we're starting direct speech. So when you see that symbol, pause while you're reading. Ve'im amor yomar ha'eved, pause, ahavti et adoni. Oh, there's another one. Et ishti, ve'et banai. Okay, there's a hard comma right there. Lo etze chofshi. This is the end of the quote over here. Ahavti, we see as a katal form, T suffix. Who's the built-in subject?
I.
Yeah. T says, I did it. What did I do? Ahav, I loved. Should we translate it as I loved? I mean, it's a katal. That doesn't really sound good, though. Okay, so in Hebrew, if you say things like, if somebody asks you, hey, do you know who Laban is? You'd say, I know Laban. You don't put it in the present tense in Hebrew. You put it in the past. Like I knew him. Like before you asked me, I already knew of him. So the same thing is happening here. Ahavti should probably be translated as I have loved, meaning all this time I have loved, and even up to now, I have loved. So I wouldn't translate it as a past tense because he still loves them. He wants to spend the rest of his life with them. I love or I have loved et adoni, my adon, my master. What else have I loved? Et ishti, my eshet, isha, woman, wife. Ve'et banai. That's the first person common singular my, but it's tacked onto a plural. So it's not my son, but rather my sons or children. Lo etze, here's our aleph yiktol, yiktol aleph, I will, yatsa, we have a yod missing. I will go out. No, I will not go out. Chofshi, in a free way, or to be free. Because if he leaves, his wife and his children stay with his master.
Mm.
All right.
I have a little question.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the infinitive absolute without the prefix lamed?
Mm-hmm. Very good. I would like to have a really good answer for that. All I can do is state what I see. Infinitive absolute never takes a prefix, never takes a suffix. It is the infinitive construct that takes prefixes and suffixes. So let's see. Shamor would be your infinitive absolute. Shmor is your infinitive construct. The infinitive, both of these infinitives are essentially nouns. They are nouns which represent a verbal action. Okay, they are not verbs. I know maybe somebody has taught you all that they're verbs. They are actually nouns, grammatically speaking, and they represent the action of whatever the root is. So shamor is the action of guarding. Shmor, well, that's just going to be a reduced kamatz right here, a phenomenon that we see all the time when absolute nouns go down to construct, right? Like gadol versus, or how do I say? Yeah, like gadol is something that is great, but if I say the great one of Jerusalem, I don't know, something like that, this would drop down to a shva. Gdol Yoshalayim, the difference is absolute versus construct. Same thing happening here. It's just that the infinitive absolute never has prefixes or suffixes, and the infinitive construct can. So this is where you'll find your lamed, as we learn in modern Hebrew, like lishmor would be how you would look up that verb. And you can also have a suffix on the end. Now, this is going to be a little bit tricky. How do you say his action of guarding? Well, you take the infinitive construct, you add the O to the end, and you get a problem. Anybody see the problem? Once we move the accent over here, this O is taking the resh, which causes this to drop to a shva. We can't have two shvas. This O has an influence over this vowel, and we get shom ro. Just like chofesh and chofshi, kamatz katan, so also shmor or lishmor will turn into shomro. This O has an influence on that. There's an O vowel. And that O vowel tells you this is an infinitive. Infinitives have O vowels. All right, who's next to read? Aziz?
והגישו אדוניו אל האלוהים והגישו אל הדלת ואל המזוזה, ורצה אדוניו את אוזנו במרציע,
Mhm.
ועבדו לעולם.
Va'avado leolam. Excellent. Vehigisho Adonav el ha'elohim. Vehigisho el hadelet o el hamezuzah. Veratza Adonav et ozno b'martzea va'avado leolam. Vehigisho, this is going to have a pronominal suffix on the end. So he shall cause him to approach. What's the root of vehigish? Or yeah, let's say higish. What's the root of higish? Does anybody know the root of higish? The ve is a vekatal. Higish. The hay is of Hephil, the yod is of Hephil, so we have a gimel and a sheen and a strong dagesh.
Nagash.
Exactly, nagash, to approach. So this Hephil causative hay tells us he will cause him to approach.
And the noon appeared.
The noon is part of the root. The O at the end is him. The vav at the beginning is what turns it into a future tense. So, and he shall cause him to approach. That's kind of all built into that one first word. Who will? Adonav, his master or masters. El ha-Elohim. What's the word Elohim?
God.
God.
Is it always translated God?
Or small g gods.
Is it always translated either big G God or small G gods?
Sort of translated mighty ones.
The idea is that it's coming from mighty. So yes, God is mighty, and even false gods are thought of as being mighty. But how do you bring this guy to the gods or to God? Is God going to come meet you at the door or the mezuzah? Or is it referring to something else? There are places in the Bible where Elohim refers to rulers, judges. This might be one of them. If anyone's familiar with New Testament New Testament material, the leaders of the Israelite people were all upset because Jesus equivocated himself with God. And he said, well, wait a second. Don't the Psalms call you gods? And it does. There's a psalm where it calls the leaders of Israel Elohim. So there is a precedent to sometimes translate Elohim as leaders, judges of the people. I think there's an interesting theory that the Elohim in Genesis 6, like the Nephilim and the sons of God and daughters of men and all that other stuff. That's where we get our Enoch storyline. I think there's an interesting theory that says the word Elohim there should probably be the rulers of the people. If so, then it means that the sons of the rulers were taking the daughters of the common people and doing with them whatever they wanted. Have you ever seen that? Like a bad spirit in the priest's son, or in the rabbi's son, or in the pastor's son, or the judge's son. They feel like they can get away with murder. I don't know. It's an interesting theory, but there's also another verse. It's in Mishpatim. It is. It says, you shall not, I don't want to use the word curse, but I think that's what it is. You shall not curse, or you shall not revile Elohim, and you shall not curse a nasi, a leader. Now, Hebrew often has parallelism, so they're making Elohim parallel with nasi. We know nasi is a leader, someone
Is,
who is lifted up and promoted to be a leader. So Elohim is in parallel with that.
is that where when Paul's in under judgment and he basically says you whitewash uh, about the high priest? Is that where he's going back and correcting himself from that verse right there?
Exactly. Yeah. He said, "Sorry, I didn't realize you were the high priest. I probably shouldn't have said that if you were the high priest." Yeah, it's from that verse right there. But my point being that Elohim in that verse is also is probably also best translated as leaders. But the vast majority of the time, Elohim is God, like God of Israel, and less rarely it's little g gods, and then less rarely still would be leaders, judges.
Or if also the connection
Yeah.
to judges, like the Sanhedrin, the elders, they believe they had the right to pass laws and that God would enforce those laws. They really believe that those are binding laws, halakha, upon the Yehudim. And I wonder if they're saying like I wonder if they're equating themselves like if we pass an edict, if we pass a law, that's enforced by God. So it is almost like bringing it to God in that way. I wonder.
I like what you did there. Yes, it's as if they are the mouthpiece for God. Yeah, absolutely. Um, by the way, there is actually a Torah command that says whenever you have a dispute, you're supposed to bring it to the judges and the Levites and the leaders in the place where I will put my name, and whatever they tell you to do, you shall not depart to the right or the left. You shall do everything that they said to do. Otherwise, there's a death penalty.
Right.
So the Torah does sanction that kind of authority
Yeah. And that is
for
a
the
basis for
Sanhedrin.
that's a basis for the oral Torah. A lot of the
Yeah, so there is a little bit of a jump though
yeah, big jump.
from the Sanhedrin, which the Bible talks about,
Mhm.
to rabbinicalism, which
Right.
is an invention.
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah, truly.
rabbis have a lot of great things to say, but there are a lot of rabbis, and a lot of rabbis say a lot of things. So eventually, you're going to come to something that doesn't quite line up, or
Oh
was
yeah.
only good for a certain place, certain time, certain people, and shouldn't be applied across the board. And so there's you gotta be just
And
not
Yeshua made
discreet,
those
I guess.
distinctions.
Well, I
Right.
jumping, staying here, but jumping to today. So last week on Israel 365, I read an article on the Sanhedrin meeting and making decisions or judgments in Israel this week. So is the Sanhedrin there the equivalent to what Congress is here today?
Okay, yeah. So Israel is supposed to be a theocracy. The modern state of Israel is not a theocracy. It is a soft, I don't know if you want to call it a soft socialist democracy. Um, it's not what the Bible prescribes. So biblically speaking, yes, there was supposed to be a Sanhedrin that enforced the biblical principles in making law and judging cases, judicial cases. Currently, there is not a Sanhedrin that is universally recognized. There are
Uh,
some
but I
fringe.
read was
I don't
just
even think they recognize
article.
themselves as halakhic yet. I think it's more of a mock. I think they're practicing, kind of like they're practicing for the future temple and all that. I think they understand that it's not halakhic. They can't truly make those rules yet. I think it's just practice. That's what my
Everybody, yeah, everybody kind of follows his own rabbi.
yeah.
You get this group of Jews that follows that rabbi, and this one that follows this one, and more or less they're all built on Torah, but each one kind of has their own spin and their own halacha. Halacha is the word, in case anyone doesn't know, it comes from the root halach, to walk, and halacha is essentially how you walk out your faith, how you practice your faith. I don't flip switches on Shabbat. That's part of my halacha. I I drink the wine first and then I have the bread afterward. That's my halacha. I wash my hands and then I say the blessing. That's my halacha. It's how you practice those things that that yeah, it's how you practice your faith. I don't really know how else to put it.
In each
But yeah,
community has
there is
there's-
currently no Sanhedrin that all groups universally recognize, and good luck with that. If you see all groups of Jews following after one individual, that right there sounds apocalyptic. That sounds that sounds biblical. All right. Vehi gisho, and he shall bring him el hadelet, to the door, o el ha mezuzah. So the mezuzah is the little box that you affix to or the box that has the Shema, sometimes the Ten Commandments, a passage from Numbers, sections of the Torah where it says, you shall write these on your doorposts and on the gates. The mezuzah is the halacha. It's the way people walk out that commandment. They put it on a scroll. They put it in a little box on the door. I've got some myself, but honestly, I think that originally the commandment was to write it, actually write it out on the doorpost, not to put it on a scroll and stick it in a box. But the idea there is that it's a constant reminder. So mezuzah is a doorpost. That's the name where we get mezuzah, the box containing the biblical texts from. Veratza, so the root ratza is to bore a hole. So, and he shall bore a hole. Who? Adunav, his master, bore what? Et ozno. I was so happy, Aziz, that you read this with Kamatz Katan. Excellent. We know that ozen has an O in it. So therefore, ozno should also have an O in it. Boom, there it is. Oznaim is your ears. Ozno, his ear. Ba mautzea. You can see that the root here is the same as that one, but it's got a mem at the front. Oftentimes, mem at the front, and that's it. A mem preformative is some sort of a tool or instrument or something tangible. So here we can see a mautzea is something that makes boring holes. Va'avado. Now this is a vekatal verb, and he shall serve him leolam. What's the root ein lamed mem?
Earth.
What is it? Say again.
Earth. Like the world.
Oh, earth. Earth or world. Okay,
Yeah.
so does anybody know the word ne'elam?
Mm.
Ne'elam is to vanish. What does vanish have to do with earth, world? It's very, very confusing. Well, ilam means to vanish, like a vanishing point. And so an olam is a point of vanishing. It's as far as you can see. It is forever and ever. And if you consider like as far as you can see all the way around you, then that would be the cosmos, the world, the earth, the universe, and everything as far as you can see. But it comes from the root to vanish, alam, which means he shall do it for as far as he can see. All right, excellent. Comments, questions on this verse before we move on? Thomas.
Yeah. We have the same translation in Germany, that Elohim is judge. That is written in the New Testament in Hebrew 4:12. The Word of God is a living and living two-edged sword, and it's a judge of the alignment of the heart.
Is it? But that's okay. So what I'm looking
in
at
German,
is
in German, in German, in
okay.
Germany.
I have
I translated in English, so but it's very good because the Holy Spirit is the best judge.
the Holy Spirit is the best judge.
Yeah, because the word of the living God is through the Holy Spirit, and the best judge is the Holy Spirit.
I felt certain that I've got
Hebrew 4:12. It's wonderful.
right.
When we have when we think about the Holy Spirit, he's a judge. He bring life. He bring freedom.
A judge decides between two people, decides the outcome of a dispute.
Yeah. But in Germany, it's very good translate. Also, it's translated as judge to the alignment of the heart. Wonderful.
I see.
Thoughts and intention of the heart. Okay, that's the same.
So it's making
Wonderful.
it's making a decision, a
Yeah.
decisive discernment between two
Yeah.
things. Okay, I got it.
Wonderful.
You know, I have been meditating and studying on the Father, the Son, or the Word, and the Holy Spirit from the concept of one atom of gold. But as I'm doing that and I'm understanding more of the Holy Spirit being more like electrons, and the more I'm learning about the power of the electrons, I'm learning things that I never even knew from physics perspective. That's given me a deeper understanding of the power of the Holy Spirit. But I don't want to get off track.
There are definitely some parallels, and just a little shout out to gold and silver and precious metals. If anyone doesn't know, money in the Bible is silver and gold. It's not paper that the government prints up that is utterly worthless. The only reason it has value is because people trust it. As soon as the trust goes away, it's as worthless as the paper it's printed on. So silver and gold are biblical money. Anyway, who would like to read next? All right. Anyone, whoever.
I can read.
Before, yeah, Thomas, go ahead.
Yeah,
go
okay,
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Veki yimkor ish et bato le'ama lo nee, doch le'ama lo tatse ketset ketset ha'avadim.
We've had somebody join here. Okay, as my daughter. Now we're coming in and out. Okay, don't worry about it.
Okay.
V'chi yimkor ish et bito le'adam. Excuse me, I said that wrong. Le'ama. I was thinking about that. I'm thinking like that doesn't make sense. It's because it's not a. It's le'ama. Lo tetze ketzet ha'avadim. All right, now this is also going to be another kind of controversial, maybe, verse in our modern times, but well, it's in the Bible, so let's read it. Let's do it. V'chi, this is going to be another and if or when. Yimkor, machar is to sell, so he will sell. If a man shall sell et bito, his daughter. What? Why would he do that? Le'ama, to be a maidservant. Why would he do that?
Different. But you needed money.
I can't give
right, exactly. If he has a debt that he cannot pay, then he either sells himself into servitude or he has to sell his children into servitude. That's a painful thought. This is possibly one of the reasons why, 50, 60 years ago, it was pretty much thought of to be a sin to be in debt. It is not good to be in debt. But anyway, if that should be the case, if he's in debt, he has to pay it somehow. Anyway, if that happens, lo tetze, she shall not go out. Ketzet. Now, this is an infinitive construct. We already talked about those. As or like the going out of, it's in construct with the next word, ha'avadim, which is the men servants.
So we're going to get the from the next verse what this is going to be referring to.
I hope so.
This
At
is
any
the
rate, so the point is that she shouldn't be treated harshly. She shouldn't be treated like all the other man slaves that have to go out to work and suffer and do hard laborious labor, but rather she shall be treated differently.
two other questions.
Mhm.
One, this is your daughter that showed up at class Thursday, and what's her name?
This is going on the internet, so I'm going to keep that private.
That I understand. Never mind. She is enjoyable to see.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. All right.
Find out the answer.
All right, next verse. Who wants to read, even if you read before?
I will.
All right, go ahead, Jesse.
Im ra'a be'ene adonecha asher lo. Do you read both?
No, what we're looking at here is a difference between what is written in the scroll versus what the scribes want us to read it as. So it's written as this, but they want us to read it as that. This
Okay.
the way it's written is called the ketiv. You can see katav in the root, and the way that you're supposed to read it is called the was it kri or kre? I'm trying to remember how to write it in English. You just write it in Aramaic. Kri. All right, so you're going to read it as lo, even though it's literally written in this way. What's the difference between these two?
One is to him and one is not.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Is
This
this
one
like
is
a-
not, and this one is to him.
Is
So
that
did
maybe an
somebody
error
miss?
when they were
Huh?
copying?
That's one way to look at it. Yeah.
Okay.
That is one way to look at it. And we get to see this a lot more in the Dead Sea Scrolls, where the aleph is oftentimes completely left out in favor of a vav. It's written more phonetically instead of having those historical alephs written in there. All right, Jesse, keep reading.
Yeoda
Yada.
Ya'ada Vehevda Le'am Nachri Nochri
Like choshi.
Oh yeah. Lo Imshol Le now I don't know if it's
It is.
Mochra
Yeah.
Bevigdo
Vigdo.
Ba
Good.
or
Va.
Ba.
So you get two kamatskatans in here. This one is an adjective like we saw with chofshi. What is this one? Lamed at the front, hey at the end. Anybody?
Mochar Mochar.
Right.
selling.
The root is machar, to sell. But what form is this? There's a le at the front, like lishmor.
Is it an infinitive?
It is. Yeah, we just talked about it. We got like lishmor means to guard. Li or le shom ro. It would get that kamatz katan because of this vowel. And that's exactly what we have here, except we have ha at hey at the end instead of o. So to sell her. It's an infinitive construct. Absolutely. Infinitive construct. All right. Imra'a. If, wait, have I read this yet? No, not yet. Let me read first. Im ra'a בעיני אדוניה אשר לא יעדה וחפדה לעם נוכרי לא ימשול למוכרה בבגדו בה. Wow. This is actually another example of an infinitive construct. There's a b at the front, and there's an o at the end. Vigdo. This is beg. Would this be beg? What's the root bet gimel dalet?
Thought it was clothes,
Clothes.
but I guess
Yeah, it's a
not.
garment.
Garments.
Oh, is it
Exactly.
garment?
Yeah, a beged is a garment. So how do they get this translation broken faith?
No idea.
It is I just had the word in my mind. Betray. As a verb, bet gimel dalid means to betray. It's as if you are cloaked as somebody else.
Mm.
It's powerful. This would be like a sheep in wolf's a wolf in sheep's clothing or something like that. It is cloaked, and then it goes in to do destruction. So this is the verb to betray or break faith or something like that. In his breaking faith with her. All right. So if ra'a, feminine singular, evil, really, or bad. So if she is bad or evil, well, yeah, not like she has a demon in her, just like not good. Look, this isn't what I signed up for. This isn't good. It's ra'a. If she is displeasing, be'einei adoneha, in the eyes of her master or masters, asher lo, they tell us, is translated as not, who not, he shall not designate her. So the root here is yeah. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. Trying to remember if this is, it's got to be. It's ya'ad. Yeah, something is meant for something is yaud. Okay, so he shall not designate her. Vechefda. Here we get, excuse me, that's hefda. I misread it. So here the root has to do with being redeemed. No, it doesn't. No. The root is pei dalet yod. Like pada, pidot. Pada. So he shall cause her to be redeemed. There we go. So this would be the hay of, is that the hay of Hefiel then? The hefdah shall be redeemed. Her to be redeemed. I can't figure out. I guess it's, I wouldn't have expected that for a Hefiel. I would have expected a Hirik. But anyway, the root is pei dalet yod. We have a missing yod here. He shall redeem her. No, he shall designate her to be redeemed. Oh, what if it's a Hefiel? I mean a Nephal. Anyway, la'am nochri. He shall not give her over to a foreign nation or a strange nation. He can't just get rid of her like that. Lo yimshol. He shall not overpower, or he shall not have the power to sell her, since he's broken faith with her. It's a Hebrew maidservant. She has rights. That's what the Bible's telling us. All right, who's going to read next?
Was it Vaim?
V'im
Le Benu? Le Ben not Be. Le Benu.
leave no.
Leave no.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just let's see.
It's
Zadar.
actually, it's an ayin. So ye
That's
Yi'adena. Yi'adena.
Dema. Dana.
Mhm.
K. Ma. K. Ma. Kamash.
Kamish.
Kamish. Pot.
Mhm.
Pot.
Kamishpat.
And then Haba. No. Note. Haba
Mhm.
note.
Habanot.
Yesh. Yeshe. Ha. Yesha.
Ya'ase. Ya'ase la.
Yeah, I say la.
Very good. All right. We have Ve'im livno yi'adena kamishpat habanot ya'ase la. All right. If livno to his son yi'adena. So this the hey at the end is referring to her. Here the root ya'ad, to intend. The yod here is yiktol. What binyan is this verb? Does anyone know? There's a yiktol. There's your root. We have an ea pattern. Ea.
Yael.
Ea is going to be nifal.
Oh, Nifal. Yeah.
Nifal. So if she is to be intended for his son, that is betrothed, then the then is implied here. Then kamishpat habanot, according to the custom, tradition, decisions, judgments, the way, according to the custom of the daughters, like the other daughters, ya'ase la, he shall do or deal with her. So if she's going to be given as a wife to the son, well, then she's not going to be treated like a maidservant. She's going to be treated like all the other ladies do. She's going to be a wife. All right, Aziz, did you want to read?
אוקיי. אם אחרת ייקח לו שאירה כסותה ועונתה לו יגרע.
Lo yigra. Okay. Im acheret yikach lo she'erah ksutah ve'onnatah lo yigra. Im, if, acheret, another, yikach. We have a missing lamed right here from the root lakach. If he will or should take, lo, for himself, acheret, another. Okay, this is going back to biblical times where polygamy wasn't illegal. Obviously, every time you see polygamy in the Bible, there seem to be complications there, but back then it wasn't unheard of. So if he should take another, meaning if he should take a second wife, she'erah, the thing that allows her to be sustained, her food, ksutah, the thing that covers her, her garments, ve'onatah, I'm trying to figure out the best way to translate this literally. Answering or speaking, or this might be something like compassion. No, like his duty to The word is escaping me right now. Come on.
He,
Affection.
he can't just push her
Should say
aside.
affection.
I-
So
that's-
basically, her
push
food, her
aside.
garments, and her affection, he shall not deprive. Now, from this verse, rabbinicalism actually it comes up with a ruling. If he takes a second wife, the first wife's food, garments, and affection shall not be diminished. And we'll see in the next verse, if he does diminish those, she is free to go. Rabbinicalism actually pulls from this verse the decision that if he doesn't provide these things for her, that is abuse. And if she is abused, biblically, she's free to go. Especially in Christian circles, it's very difficult to talk about marriage and divorce because of the ruling that Yeshua gives in the New Testament. And I like the ruling that he gives in the New Testament. It's actually the same ruling that House of Shammai gave, but it was something separate from what we're discussing right here. In the New Testament, the experts of the law came up to him with an ongoing debate. They said, Moses says, or sorry, that's not right. He says, do you believe that a man can divorce his wife for any reason? Most people focus on can a man divorce his wife? But I think or based on what I'm reading in rabbinical texts, the question was whether or not a man can do it for any reason. Of course, a man can divorce his wife according to the law of Moses. It's not good. You should try not to do that. It would be much better if you could work out your differences. But is there an allowance in the Torah? Of course, it's written there. So that's not the question. The question is, can a man divorce for any reason? It has to do with this word in Deuteronomy 24, ervat davar, which is not clearly understood. It basically means nakedness of a matter. And so the question is, what is that? What does that entail? And according to Hillel, he said, basically anything. If she does anything he doesn't like. Now, he obviously didn't condone divorce, but he's just trying to understand what the Bible is saying. He's like, well, it could be anything, really. Suppose she burns the
your food.
toast. Exactly. Whereas House of Shammai says, no, it's probably a lot more strict than that. It's probably fornication or adultery. And so what we see is Yeshua taking the same opinion as Shammai in that particular limited debate. Fast forward to the 21st century, when people are talking about marriage and divorce, they're like, well, he beats me, but he hasn't committed sexual fornication. He hasn't committed adultery, so I can't divorce him. No, this right here is the allowance. If someone is abusing you, if they're not giving your food, your garments, and your affection, the Bible says you're free to leave. It's a completely separate stipulation. Now, again, I can't say this enough. It would be much better if you work out your differences, go to marriage counseling, and make it work. That would be plan A. All right, who would like to read the next verse?
I don't see a verse.
No?
I don't see one on the screen. I'm sorry.
I'll read it.
Oh,
All right, go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah. V'im shalosh. Oh no, shalash.
No, you did it right. The word is shalosh. This is
Mm,
kamatz katan because this is treated as one word. It's a closed, unstressed syllable. Very good. Shalosh.
that was by accident. No.
I don't think it was. I think your brain knows the number shalosh,
Yeah, I know
but put
shalosh.
the O.
Sure.
That's how it's supposed to work. That's
Mhm.
progress. That's excellent. Keep going.
Perfect. Ele lo yase lach v'yatzah hinam ein kasef.
Kasef. Very good.
Kasef.
This is the pausal form of the word kesef,
Mm.
meaning at the end of a word, at the end of a sentence, or at the wishbone et nachta, it'll show up as kasef to let everybody know we've reached the end of a logical unit. Okay. Ve'im shlosh ele, and if the three of, where did the cholam go? It had to drop down because now it's in a closed, unaccented syllable. And if the three of these, lo ya'aseh lah, he will not or does not do for her or unto her, then v'yatza'ah, then she shall go out. Chinam, by grace, for free. Ein kasef, there is no silver, there is no payment, there is no money. She's doing it for free. If you can't take care of her, then she gets to go for free. Let's see, we have about 15 more minutes in class. Let's see here. And all right, so now we're moving on to a different of the Mishpatim, the right rulings, the right judgments. And so we're on a new topic now. Who's going to read this short little verse?
I'll read it before I'm going to have to leave.
Okay.
The Makia,
Make.
a yes, no, a yes.
Okay, so this right here is the cantillation mark. So I'll just kind of cover it up. That chirik is your vowel. Ish. The
Ish.
chirik and the yod work together.
So ish, va met,
Bamet.
Moat, and ya mata, ya ama.
That's a long oo sound. You mat.
You mat.
Make ish vamet mot yumat. All right. If you can't hear the consonants, the repetition of certain consonants here in this in these last three words, then you're probably deaf. And all three of these are coming from the word moot, mavet, mot. All right. So make, it's translated as he who attacks. It comes from the root nun, kaf, yod. As you can see, we have some letters missing. Where's the nun? Right there. Where's the yod? It's gone. All we have is a hey. The mem at the front makes it a participle. The root means to strike. So the one who strikes, or the one who is striking, ish, a man, vamet, and he dies, that is, the man that he struck dies, mot yumat. Here's our infinitive absolute, used to emphasize. Dying, he shall be caused to die. Now, why did I translate it that way? It's because of the oo right here. This oo lets me know that this is a hufal verb, a causative, but in the passive. So we don't get to see who's causing it. We just get to see upon whom it was caused. So dying, he shall be caused to put to death. This guy over here. So if you strike a man and he dies, then dying you shall die. You shall surely be put to death. Do you notice that they didn't have prisons in ancient Israel? Really?
True.
If you did something worthy of death, you were put to death. And if you did something that wasn't worthy of death, then you paid off your debt. You were guided to make restitution and not just be put into a penitentiary.
I have a question on the last one, on that first word. You said the
Okay.
mem makes it a, did you say a
Participle. Yes, I did.
I got to learn my English grammar.
Good. So participles in English are going to be your ing words, running,
ING.
doing.
ING.
So here we have, it's masculine singular. So him who is attacking is probably the best way to put it. The attacking one.
I
So
see,
one
I see
who,
that a lot in liturgy, like Mikabet, Nidchei, you know, Amo Israel. So it's like the one who does it. So I
yeah,
get
the
it
one who
now.
does it.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. Now the mem will show up on all but 2 of the binyanim. All right, there are 7 binyanim. There's Kal, there's Nephal. Help me out. PL.
Pual, Hitpeal, Hifil, Hufal.
Of these, those 5 will have a mem performative. What do you call it? Preformative. So it will have a mem at the front. So this right here is a he feel. So it gets a mem at the front. That's your participle. Kal and Nephal do something different. How do we make a participle in the Kal or easy binyan? Put an O, E. Like Kohen or Shofet. Both of these are participles. We translate the first one as a judge. Maybe we should translate it as one who is judging. A Kohen, we translate it as a priest. Maybe we should translate it as one who is ministering. But the idea is, O-e makes it a participle. How would you say walking?
Holech.
Holech. Same pattern, O-e. And then in Nephal, we're going to have noon at the front, chirik, shva, and then instead of patach, which is the katal form, we're going to get a kamatz instead. So nilcham is the participle, one who is battling, whereas the katal form, nilcham, which sounds the same but has a patach, means he battled, he fought. So those are the participles in all of the binyanim. In these forms here, PL, Pual, Hitpel, Hitfeel, Hufal, you're basically going to take the Yiktol form, and instead of that Yiktol prefix, put a mem. If so, how would you say he will attack?
Oh, that's how I would think. I don't know any of the binyanim. I know
Okay, all right. So the Yiktol has the Yiktol prefixes, and I said a participle takes that Yiktol and puts a mem instead. So he will attack would be Yake.
Okay.
It's going to be the same pattern, just with a yod instead of a mem. Or if she will attack, then it's take. Or if we do it, nake. So the binyanim, that's going to come later, but each one of those verbal categories adds some sort of nuanced meaning to the verb. All right, we have about 6 minutes left. Who would like to read next?
Go again if no one else.
I will.
All right, Nishma, let me have Nishma. You go ahead.
Asher lo Seda. Is that right? No.
Tzada.
Sada. Vaha Elohim. Ina Liado. Basamti. Lecha Makom. Asher Yan. Is it ya or yo? Yeah.
This is an open syllable, so it has to be kamatz.
Okay. Yanum. No, Yanus. Yanus. Shama.
Shama. Very good. Va'asher lo tzada ve'ha'elohim ina liado ve'samti lecha makom asher yanus shama. All right, so we just talked about someone who strikes a man and he dies, he shall be put to death. This is coming next. And a share, remember, a share starts a relative clause. So that which, or maybe it's telling us more about the man who is the striker. Va'asher lo tzada, maybe the one which not, it translates it here as lies in wait. What's the point of saying that? What's the difference between if someone lies in wait versus doesn't lie in wait?
Premeditated, right?
Premeditated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's the difference is premeditated murder, and the other one could possibly be manslaughter. So if somebody is, fighting out of self-defense, or, didn't mean to, had no hate for his brother, and it just happened. All right, so this is not someone who lay in wait and decided to murder somebody. Veha Elohim, and, or as they say, but God, or possibly even the judges. But here we get ina. Well, that's masculine singular. So this is probably big G, God. And God, ina, he delivered liyado. God deliver into his hands. Trying to understand exactly what's going on here. All right, so the idea here is that he will have a place that he can flee to. God saying, I will appoint v'samti, I will put, I will place, I will appoint lecha, for you, makom, a place. What about it? Asher yanus shama, that you, or that he shall or will be able to flee, nas nus shama, to there, a safe haven, a refuge city.
The Shama, I guess, or the Shama is
Excellent.
feminine, so that's because it's feminine, right? Or is that
It's
in
not.
direction?
It's directional.
Okay.
So we have the word
Mhm.
sham with a directional hey, shama, towards there. He shall flee towards there.
Okay.
Oops, didn't mean to do that. All right, last verse. Who wants to read?
I will if no one else.
All right, Brandon, go ahead.
Okay. Vehi Yazid Ish al Re'ehu Le is it Lehor Go?
Nice. You can see it's an infinitive construct. So it needs to have an O vowel in it. Lehogo.
Be Orma, or is it Be Arma?
No, you said it right.
Okay.
Ve'orma.
Me'im Mizbechi Tikachenu Lamut.
Very good. All right, so we're getting the opposite. The first guy, he did not lay in wait. He was not lying in wait. And then this guy, Yazid, is. He's willfully doing it. V'chi Yazid ish al re'ehu lehorgo ve'orma me'im mizbechi tikachenu lamut. Okay, this is strong terminology here. If a man willfully attacks upon his rea, his friend, fellow, lehorgo, to harag, to slay, kill him, ve'orma, so here we get the root for guile. This would be similar to the pattern for the word wisdom. Chochma, orma, me'im mizbechi, from, with, meaning he's like attached to even God's altar. He's like, you can't kill me. I'm on the altar. You wouldn't want to defile the altar, would you? God's saying, even from my altar, you shall take him. I have a missing lamed right here. Tikachenu, the enu here is a combination of both a nun plus a hu. So the hey reverse assimilates into the noon, and that's why we have a dagesh. The hu is he, him, and the noon is this would be energic noon. It historically would imply surety or certainty. You shall certainly take him, lamut, to die. Why? Because he did it on purpose. Powerful words. All right. I do thank you all so very much for coming and joining, and hopefully you got to learn something today. If you want to donate to the cause, you know what to do. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you all next week. Lehitraot v'shalom.
Wait. I think I have
Okay.
to take a picture of that. Let me take a picture. Is that
Okay. Yes. Thank you so much. All right. Lehitraot. Shalom.
Shalom.